right, and we're live. Welcome back to another exciting MSD podcast. Today, we are extremely excited to welcome one of our good fellow Synergy members, Ryan English out of Baker Group. Ryan is not only a dedicated family man, father, husband, but Ryan has grown up in the service trade. He has learned what it really means to serve clients, right? And make sure that buildings run in an efficient and a sustainable manner. He has an unbelievable passion, not just for fixing things, but also for getting real with people. He's a huge people person. Him and I have really hit it off. We're both currently on the Synergy board. What an honor to get to work with this guy in closer capacity. And speaking with a lot of people that we've met through Baker through the years, Ryan English has an outstanding reputation for being there. And we are so excited to have him live today. And really, we're going to focusing on what is life as a technician? What does that look like? We're going to really dig into what's there beyond solving problems, building and maintaining the client trust, the trust with people as we work to deliver that standard of excellence. Balancing a little bit of life, a little bit of fun, and work as we believe it all blends in together. Right, Ryan?
Absolutely.
So, Ryan, got this, opening up a little bit, from your view, on the technician journey, like, did you just wake up someday and was like, you know what, I think I want to be a technician? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and what led you to that path.
Okay. Well, thank you for the introduction. That's probably the most positive, upbeat introduction I've ever been introduced to something like this. Appreciate that. I grew up in just outside of Des Moines, Iowa, in a smaller town, a suburb of Des Moines. My father was a pipe fitter for his entire career. He grew up in the industry. He and his cousin started their own business in 1982. And I grew up seeing what he did. I played baseball. I did sports. We did family things, but dad was a service guy in the field. But then he ended up in a service manager role, and so there's a lot of responsibility in that. And when you take your clients seriously and you care about them, I watched him make some sacrifices over the years, missing baseball game, missing this, but he always did a good job of being present when he was there. And so as I got brought up, I remember going on service calls with him in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday if he was on call or something like that. And I remember that vividly, and it was always kind of cool to see. Mm-hmm. I played sports in high school. Later on, high school, kind of decided I was not probably going to college. And I actually graduated high school early, and in January of 95, 96, and my plan was to be an electrician. Like, I want to get in the electrical trade. Well, good thing I wasn't old enough to actually work for an electrical contractor, because I was only 17 at the time. And so I didn't get to go into the electrical trade. And my dad and Jim Schaefer, his cousin, Jim owned Aircon Mechanical. They're like, why don't you come work for us? You can work in the shop. We'll put you to work doing something. And you know what? I think that was a blessing in disguise. You don't realize. Not that electrical is not a great trade. It is a great trade, but just that journey of getting to work with my father and with them, work in that smaller business, and get to know the trade that way. I appreciate it a lot more now. I didn't realize how much I appreciated it till, the older I get in life. I realize how much more I got to see and how much more I got to do. And so, yeah, after I started working there, I knew that, getting a little piece of the mechanical business and seeing that there's so many different things that go into it that it's never a dull moment. It's always a challenge. If you're not challenged in this industry of mechanical and HVAC, then I don't think you're putting a lot of effort into it, because there's so much to challenge you on a daily basis. And And that's probably what really got me more motivated to go down that path. And like I said, my brother ended up getting in the trade too. He went through as a plumber, so it's kind of been in our blood a little bit. But
Did you guys go back and forth about, like, you know, the mechanical side, the HVAC side versus the plumbing, and obviously the electrical side?
Absolutely, all the time. Yeah. Anybody can be a plumber, right? That's what we say, but you know, that's not the truth either. There's a lot to plumbing as well, and it's, you know, we all joke with each other within the trades, and everybody has their specialty. And I can tell you that in any trade you get in, you know, the effort you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And but I really love the challenge and the variety of the mechanical business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much more to plumbing, right? I mean, we know that, you know, shit flows downhill, but, you know, 1/8 inch per foot doesn't lie, right?
No.
I mean, you got to get real with it, man. So much more.
There's 3 inches of fall built into 3-inch pipe, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, you know, what about the way you were able to kind of learn, and also, like, you know, it's funny with your brother too, but like, as you were being raised, and how did your mind adapt to really the how you learn, how you take information in? Because that's a lot. It can be overwhelming when you walk into some of these mechanical rooms, right?
Well, yeah. I was a hands-on learner. You know, in school, I struggle with sitting in a classroom and trying to learn something from a book or be taught something on screen. I'm the type of person, if you show me how something works or you tell me how something works, I'm going to figure out how to tear it apart, how to make it work. You know, and I think what I didn't know when I was at Aircon for 10 years, what I did not know when I left there, you know, I'll be honest, I thought I was way better than I probably was at the time coming to Baker Group. Was it one of the best decisions of my life? Absolutely. The decision to leave Aircon to come to Baker Group was a tougher decision to make, to leave my father and my cousin, his cousin's business, to come to Baker Group was tougher than asking my wife to marry me. And I've told many people that, and it's really because I'm a very loyal person. But what I appreciate, and I didn't realize it until probably 10 years later, is we were a company that at Aircon, you just did everything. You know, there was nothing you said no to. You were doing plumbing, you'd do drain cleaning, you'd work on a 800-ton chiller, you'd work on a 5-ton condensing unit. You got to see so many different things, and the trade has changed so much in 30 years that everything was way more straightforward back then. Efficiency wasn't as big a deal. So I do think equipment was easier to work on back then. I'll tell you that, like I said, I wasn't near as good as I thought I was. And I think as I reflect on that, and I have many times, you know, the guys that I got to work with in the field were some of the best in the business. And the people that I got trained from and got to work side by side with, they were hardworking, could fix anything. And it was just, you know, it was very motivational and nice to have that kind of horsepower behind you for your learning and getting where do you go.
Yeah, and there's nothing like, you know, troubleshooting, seeing problems being solved, right? Like, I think as a technician, you know, in the industry, we learn that there's always a way, right?
Yep,
and
absolutely.
It's staying committed, staying focused, and knowing, continuing to push. And obviously, the more hands-on, the better, right?
Yep.
Seeing is cool. Today, though, like you say, you know, with some of the technicians, you get the visual, right? You get the headpieces, the 3D modules you can look at right in a classroom, which is a different way of learning. It's a way to really let them see a lot of different aspects. And, you know, when we talk about that growing and somebody that's coming up, you know, into that field, like what's some of the advice you have for some of these people that are interested in potentially, you know, getting into the industry? You know, how do they learn?
You know, I think the biggest thing is probably understand. I think the biggest thing to understand in this industry is it's all about relationships. It really is, and you don't have to be the the best troubleshooter of all equipment in the world to have great clients and have people relying on you every day, the team around you can really help you be what your client needs at any given time. In today's world, technicians aren't as able to know all these different things like they were back 30 years ago, because there wasn't as many different varieties of things, and the complexity of stuff was way less. And so in today's world, we're asking technicians to do or be subject matter expert on a lot of things that maybe they're not quite that subject matter expert on, but somebody on their team is. And that willingness to ask for help, that willingness to say, I'm not sure, but I know I can get to the answer. Because that's the other thing. As being a technician, the last thing you want to do, troubleshooting is awesome. There's nothing better than walking into a client's site and they're having problems and being able to get through that problem quickly and get them back online. It builds confidence. The biggest thing you have to get in this trade is confidence, because your clients are asking you to tell them what's wrong and be very sure of it, because in a lot of cases you're spending tens of thousands of dollars to make repairs, and they don't want somebody that is not sure of the decision they're making giving them that advice. And so there's a confidence that gets built as you troubleshoot stuff and fix things and win for that client. And it builds it kind of builds your story with that client. It builds your story with your team on your capacity and what you're up to. But yeah, I think this trade is anywhere from a very hands-on mechanical trade to a technology-driven trade with laptops and computers and software. So there's so many avenues for a young person nowadays to get into this that it's just, right now it's the biggest thing is just getting more people. There's such a demand, and that demand's not going away. And there's only certain things in this trade that AI can really do for you. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you physically have to do in order to get it to either get the piece of equipment maintained or get the piece of equipment repaired or installed. So.
Yeah, there's been so many good things said already, and just to kind of recap, like if somebody is the school environment, right, the classroom setting, there's so much more and so many additional options, right, as life as a technician, and those people that really enjoy the hands-on and seeing is believing in that visual aspect and being able to get things to turn and function and operate in a way is that's a great life you can have as a technician, mastering a craft. And I love the fact how you said nobody can be the expert in everything, right? Like you can't know everything, I can't know everything, and it's that thrill of constantly learning something new every single day, being humble but yet being hungry to learn, and that consistency and learning. And then the thing you just said was embracing the power of relationships. And how, while we're trying to really maintain the confidence in our clients' facilities in our industry, it's also important to know that no matter who's going out and trying to solve that problem for that client that has surfaced, you're always surrounded by people that know. There's people within our organizations. There's people that are representing the equipment. There's manufacturing friends, and it really just allows it. There's people that specialize in startup. There's people that specialize in the control systems and making sure that piece of equipment is talking the way it should. So point being is that really, I think that was an awesome thing to say, is like, nobody knows everything, but somebody will always be able to fill in the gap, and while we embrace the power of relationships.
I'm glad you said that. Relationship with our manufacturers is huge too. You can't have a terrible relationship with your manufacturers nowadays either, because you have to lean on them to get problems solved and understand situations they know about that the factory knows about that you may not know about. And it's this whole business is a relationship game.
Yeah, we just gave our first Vendor of the Year award, and we did it at our Christmas party, and we recognized Bin Rents, Allied Supply, shout out to those guys right there on Monument Avenue. But they went and above and beyond to support the technician. So I that definitely is helps solve the problems when the fires are burning.
Well, and that's the thing, if you're a technician and you're in a bind and you have great product suppliers and vendors that you work with and partner, we call them partners because they are your partner.
Yeah.
They lean on you and they tell everybody else about you. It's the best publicity you could get.
Yeah, I tell you, that goes right into exceeding expectations. So there at Baker Group, you're leading the entire service operations, and it's a doer seller mentality. So tell me a little bit about how does Baker function? How do you maximize those opportunities?
So in our world at Baker Group, our world is in service. As a company, we do many different things: mechanical, sheet metal, electrical, plumbing, piping, excavation, industrial, automation, fire and security. And so we do all these different things, but it's just like this. It's a circle of life. We're all helping each other. We're all cross selling. I'd like to say in our industry, there's not a question that probably couldn't get answered within the walls of our company if we really ask the right questions and find the right people. And that's powerful. And we look at people's buildings as the entirety of the building, not just the system they have or the piece of equipment they have. And so, trying to understand that we try to teach our technicians that, listen, you have the ability to, what I tell the technicians is you're basically running your own small business within the walls of Baker Group. Your clients, you're a primary technician for your clients. You're given the autonomy to make great decisions and help your clients. And you have a lot of horsepower behind you to ask questions and get the right answers and make sure we're making good decisions for our clients. There's scenarios we get ourselves into where maybe a client wants to go down a path of doing something one way, and maybe we look and go, hey, we could do it that way, but maybe you don't really need to spend that much money and do it that way. Maybe there's a better way to get to the end result, and maybe it's probably more effective for what you're doing in your business. And we ask our technicians, I feel like we do ask our technicians to go above and beyond, and we try to treat them fairly and be very, we give them a lot of, I would say we give them a lot of responsibility. Freedom? Yeah, but we give them a lot of freedom too. And we try to listen. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. We allow them to make some decisions and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And I think that if you were to talk to our technicians, I think most would say that they have the ability to make a decision and not worry that there's some kind of a ramification if it's the wrong decision or it could have been made differently. And I think as we've grown as a company, we've had to do that. We try our best not to micromanage people.
Right.
And sometimes, some people can't operate in that environment. But some people just thrive in that environment, and I see it every day.
Yeah, I think that's extremely powerful what you just said there, right? And giving people the freedom and the trust to be able to make the decisions, right? And I love what you said there, the good, better, best offerings for the clients. You can do this way, or there might be some other options. And I think embracing that, and those options don't always work out, but we stand behind our commitments and knowing that, that technician's still part of a team. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you don't learn and grow by not making any mistakes. That's where you learn the most if you embrace it. So I think that's extremely awesome. And I think the doer seller mentality is really cool too, because it's everybody pushing behind one goal: do what's right for the client, do what's right for the customer.
Yep. In our company, it's the doer seller model just says that, listen, you're selling the work you're managing the work you sell. And at the end of the day, if you've made a commitment to a client that's it's a something that can't be done. You have to manage how you get through that. And
Yeah.
so we don't have anybody out there just selling a widget that they're getting paid commission on to sell a widget. Everybody who's selling has to make sure that what we're selling them is something we can deliver on. And that's a team thing. We're not going to let each other fail. And we think outside the box. We don't do a lot of canned things. A lot of the stuff we do is very custom, and we're willing to really think outside the box on a lot of stuff for our clients. And I think that helps us differentiate ourselves from others at times.
I absolutely love the words outside the box, right? As humans, I believe we're geared to embrace creativity and just, multiple different options, right? There's never one solution that fits that one building, right? There's always options. There's always hybrid, right? And embracing outside the line. Speaking of that, as a technician, what's life look like as a technician from your view of all the different career paths and, growing in different options as skill sets are advanced?
I'll be honest with you. When I started in the trade, and I'm 5 years in, when I was 5 years in the field, I'm like, I'm never going to be in the office. I don't want nothing to do with that. It didn't interest me or anything like that. And I think what happens, is not everybody, but I think sometimes you come down to that point where you're not being challenged, or you're looking for a different challenge. And like I said, when I made the decision to do what I did, I came to Baker Group as a special projects manager and service. And I'll be honest, I probably was further over my ski tips than I ever thought I was when I applied for that position and was looking down that path. I probably wasn't ready. I could have used another few years in the field, but man, did I grow and did I learn by doing so. And I think more and more nowadays, technicians are looking for that. What's it look like? Some technicians are coming in and they do want to be in that field. They like that. And there's technicians that are going to stay in the field their whole career. But in our world, you have, you're an apprentice. A lot of our apprentices get paid ahead of scale as they start taking on responsibility and becoming primary site leads for service contract clients, foreman, into a team lead role where you're leading a team of 8 to 16 field technicians and managing kind of how we get work done, and we're getting to the right people to the right place. We have project manager roles, operations roles are more and more. And, we've even seen in the Baker Group industry, throughout the entire company, there's so many different positions. So we've seen technicians from the HVAC or piping field and service apply for positions in the detailing. Maybe they're doing piping detail, or
I love that. Yeah.
Completely outside of the service business unit. And I've had technicians come to me and say, like, I want to apply for a role in detailing. I'm like, that's awesome. That's great. Well, I thought you'd be mad. Why would I be mad at you? I'm not mad at you. If it's something you want to do and you enjoy it. And I think it's having options like that helps keep great people here until they retire. I tell every person I've hired in the service business unit or that has come to work with us, I've hired in hopes that they're going to retire here. I want them to be here till they retire and be happy. Doesn't mean they're always going to be, but I think having the ability to have, growing what you sell as your offerings, the types of businesses you're in, mission critical, healthcare, industrial, commissioning. When you have all these different areas, it gives people more opportunity to work in different areas and see maybe a niche they'd rather spend some time on and get really, really good at. And I feel like we have those opportunities, and it helps. I think it does help a technician if they want to work somewhere. It's like, yeah, maybe down there I have a little more opportunity to get to a different role, or maybe I can get into a different variety of work. So.
Yeah, so for the technician, and I love that so much. Like there's always options, there's always different career paths, and I love the flexibility that you talked about there at Baker about it's really about embracing the relationship and embracing the skill set and the knowledge that's gained in that specific position, but knowing that it could venture off to do something like CAD, which is detailing
Mhm.
mechanical rooms or vice versa, right? Um, that's pretty powerful right there. What about like if it's a technician, they know they're interested in the service world, and they get into they're like, hey, I've heard HVAC or Baker Group's a great company. Where do you start as a technician if you just want to apply?
So we do a lot of high school career fairs. We spend a lot of time there. A lot of the community colleges. We are signatory to Local 33 in Des Moines Union, Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 33 signatory. So they do job fairs, they do career fairs, and like I said, the community colleges too. But we're always looking for good people and good help and good people that fit our culture. I can tell you right now, I, I've probably got no less than a dozen kids that are graduating high school or just getting ready to graduate high school that are asking about what's the opportunity at Baker Group, right?
Love
There's a
that
lot
too.
of kids out there. Um, Part of it comes down to us having the ability to train them properly and give them the help they need to get where they need to go. But in our world, we're usually hiring on. We don't do a lot of summer help. We've done a lot. We've let a lot of high school kids come and do ride-alongs, like over winter break or spring break or whatever. We'll get them paired up. We've done it where they spend a half a day with a HVAC, half a day with plumbing, half a day with electrical, and let them kind of see the differences, which is really cool. Because some may say they want to be in HVAC, but maybe they really want to do installation and projects. And so that's the hard part, is understanding what it really is all about. And then, coming on as a helper, usually if you're here as a helper for 6 to 12 months, and it's really what you want to do and you've been putting the effort in, you're usually in the application process to be an apprentice. And then in our world here in Des Moines, it's a 5-year apprenticeship program. We are a joint local with plumbers and steam fitters, so everything's combined. But this last year, our training center is doing a 5-year HVAC program. So you decide year one you're going to be an HVAC person, and you get to spend 5 full years spending the time learning this trade, learning this industry. Whereas when I went through, when you started your 3rd year, you decided, am I going to be a plumber? Am I going to be a welder fitter? Or am I going to do HVAC and that type of work, refrigeration? And
Mhm.
so that's things have changed a lot, and we've had to change and adapt. Kudos to our training center in Des Moines, and they're doing a great job getting us to a better place as it relates to that and understanding what the future of this looks like.
Yeah. And there's so many things like, you were born and raised in that trade, but I love hearing that like that. And no matter where you look in Synergy, I think that's a pretty consistent message that reaching out
Yes.
to the high schools, the career centers, the programs that are attracting them, but also supporting them as an industry, saying,
Yep.
hey, we're just trying to get the word out. And they say as early as 7th grade, we
Yep.
want to be able to get the word out, right? To really start saying, hey, there's a life here, there's a career path, there's an option to where you can really provide for your family, and have an exciting career.
Yeah, and never more than now. I mean, you see it all the time. You see it on TV, you see it in the news. The shortage of tradespeople throughout the industry it's not going away.
Yeah.
It's only getting worse, and it becomes a constraint on what your business can, who you can take on as a client, how you can help your clients. And the goal is to be able to grow, be able to take care of your clients in a way that you your company wants to. Like I can't just hire a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing and put them out in front of clients and have them having problems, or at worst is getting hurt. I mean, this industry is not, this is an industry that has a lot of hazards to it. I've seen technicians decide it just wasn't for them. You're working with high voltage, you're working with live pressures, mechanical systems, moving parts. So it's, going into it every day, knowing that you need to be very focused on your safety and your team safety around you. It's, and a lot of times as a service technician, you're working on a piece of equipment and you may be the only person there. And if something were to happen to you, nobody may know until it's too late. And then, what I tell our team is, the last thing I ever want to have to do is call somebody's family and tell them that they're not coming home tonight. Nobody wants to do that. And so we focus heavily on that. I know you guys do too. And that is for any great mechanical contractor or service contractor in the country, that is top of mind, and it has to be, because sending your people home safe has to be number one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the world's come such a far way, right, with the importance of safety, the training programs. I mean, the importance of the proper PPE, and I love that. I love that so much, because nobody ever wants to. Everybody should go home safely every day. And
I think about a lot of stuff I did young, and I'm like, that wouldn't fly today. And it wasn't even smart to do back then. But back then, you're just trying to take care of the client, and you didn't know any different. It was just, that was the wiring back then.
Yeah. But what a cool perspective, and what a really cool future-proof career that allows people to pivot and allows skill sets to be really celebrated, right? And if you have a willingness to learn, and you want to grow, and you want to work hands-on, and you love people, because at the end of the day, we're all in the people business, right?
It is a people business,
man. And so I think it's awesome, and it's really cool, like just getting to know you through these years, and hearing it from your perspective, because this is such an exciting career path, and such a valuable option for people that really want to learn and grow and control their own career destiny.
Yeah. I would recommend it to anybody. I really would. And like I said, you got all this AI going on. There's a lot of mission critical work happening in this country and around the world. And there's no lack of service and piping or anything like that going on, electrical. Now's the time. And it's one heck of a career, and a one heck of a career path for yourself and your family. And I do think that, 30 years ago, like I said, it was probably less of there was less work-life balance. I think today we do a way better job of work-life balance. That would deter people probably years ago, is the work-life balance, because it was very demanding. And it's demanding today, but we go about it in a different way, and we have better teams around us, and we understand it better. So
and 5 generations in the workplace allows us to really embrace those 5 generations, right? They each bring different value and a change of perspective. And again, at the end of the day, we're all in the people business. So understanding, what makes people tick, and getting people in the best seat that is best for their career growth, but yet they have to be challenged as well, right? Because people grow and you're being challenged.
Yeah. And I've even seen, I've seen team members move into a role, do it for 2 or 3, 4 years, or even 18 months, and say, this really isn't for me. I really like doing that better. And what I tell everybody is, like, everybody's got kind of a superpower. And when you find your superpower and you're able to do your superpower and really do that every day with your career and help clients and help people, it makes you a better person. You may not even see it or realize it, but your happiness level just goes through the roof.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful right there. What an awesome time, Ryan. I can't thank you enough. Just to recap, if you got a love for working with your hands, if you got an interest in learning something new every single day and working in the people business, being part of a team, knowing that you always have somebody there connected at your hip to help you, support you, whether that's a team member inside your service organization, or that's a manufacturer rep, or it could be a client or a dear friend. There's always people there that knows something that we don't know. It's important to always stay humble and hungry. Work ethic is something that is irreplaceable. You got to be able to bring your work ethic and show up with a positive mindset. The other thing is there's a lot of different options and careers that we talked about today. Whether you start here as an HVAC service technician, you could end up going into the control side of the business and learning the point-to-point connection, or you could end up in CAD, as Ryan said. There's so many exciting things that really outlines what's possible when you embrace life as a technician. You've heard it from Ryan Inglis today, a guy that I have the utmost respect for, along with the Baker Group and how the Baker Group really functions as a company. So, Ryan, we can't thank you enough for hanging out with us a little bit today on the podcast. And we're looking forward to the next episode. I mean, who knows what that's going to look like.
Thank you. I appreciate it.